Alright guys, thanks for tuning into our channel. Today we're going to be working on an 85 Chevy K10 square body. Going to be doing the crossover steering and track bar setup that we do quite often on these trucks. This truck has the standard push-pull style steering on it. Very short, very loose on most trucks. You can see that the tie rods are always busted. Lots of play in the tie rods. The length of that steering bar, which is only about 14 inches or so long, is super short from the factory in stock form. But once the truck is lifted, it really just gives an unpleasurable drive and lots of play in the steering wheel. So the crossover steering lengthens the steering bar, obviously tightens all the joints up. We do brand new steering box from Redhead. And we'll go over all the parts here shortly on what it takes to get this thing done right and driving great so the customer falls back in love with this square body. Let's go on a quick test drive. As you see, I'm having to work the wheel quite a bit just to keep it in the lane. This truck has pretty excessive play in the steering box. It also has a steering arm on it for the lift kit, but it's not enough compensation, so the steering drag link has a little bit of angle on it, causing the need for more input while you're driving the truck down the road. While this doesn't look like too much of a handful right now on a highway, on a back road, you would really be driving this truck. As you see, I got this much play in the wheel and it's still in the lane. Alright guys, we got the square body up on the lift. Let's take a look at the parts layout to do the crossover and track bar setup that we're about to perform. First off, we have a complete new replacement Redhead steering box. This is a two-wheel drive steering box for the 73 to 87 Chevy K10s. That is what's needed to do the crossover steering. It is a direct replacement. The sector shaft still hooks up. The steering lines hook right up. The only difference in this box and your four-wheel drive box is going to be the splines on the output shaft, which causes the need for a new pitman arm, part of the crossover kit regardless. So the new pitman arm will look a little different than your K10 arm. Instead of facing left out the driver's side of the vehicle, it'll face directly straight back towards the rear of the vehicle. The master splines are gone out of this pitman arm, allowing you to clock this pitman arm in any different direction you want, spline by spline. It's also taper reamed out for the larger GM tie rods we're going to use. New pitman arm nut and washer, and that will complete the steering gearbox setup to do the crossover. Something very important on the square body Chevys, if you don't already know, they're super famous for cracking the frame right behind the steering box, whether it be from loose bolts or just age of the vehicle. If the steering box area has not cracked, then you would want to put the steering box brace, which we got from Offroad Design here. This is a direct bolt-in brace. They do make a weld-in style brace for trucks that have already had previous repaired frames or have a crack in your steering box once you take it off to do this upgrade. Very important to take care of this while doing this upgrade. We have our GM drag link style tie rods. They are the high angle on this truck. They will not need much angle, but we use these tie rods every time we build this kit. It's just a nice, easy way to make sure that all the tapers end up the same. They do handle, like I said, a lot of angle, so trucks with 12-inch plus lifts, these are still usable and usable all the way down to a truck like this that we're getting ready to perform this on, which has a 6-inch lift. We have our flat top steering knuckle. Lots of manufacturers make these steering knuckle. Reed, East Coast Gear Supply, Nitro, the list goes on. But it is a direct replacement knuckle. This is the 4-hole unit. Has 4 different mounting locations for studs on the steering arm, which makes it that much stronger for larger tires on wheels and added pressure. You'll need to replace the ball joints or swap your ball joints over. In this case, we're going to do fresh ball joints in the brand new knuckle, along with our Northwest Fab raised steering arm, also the 4-hole unit. The raised portion of it is good for 6-inch and larger lift trucks. Some people like to go with a flat steering arm due to leaf spring clearance issues. This will make our steering bar nice and straight with the raised steering arm. There's also companies that offer lift blocks to go underneath the steering arm that would basically stack in right here underneath a flat arm, run a longer stud all the way through, and achieve the same setup that we have going on here. We just like this forged arm, or billet arm, excuse me. And some of the most important parts to the setup we do are the panhard bar. As you see here, we have 7/8 Heims tube inserts and our 1.5-inch 250 wall tubing that we'll build the panhard bar out of. I laid this right here. This is a pre-formed panhard bar or track bar bracket that you can weld directly to the frame. You'll see on a square body you have this bump stop right here that's riveted to the frame that will need to be removed in order to put the drop track bar bracket against the frame. We will be making a bolt-on bracket for this truck. I just wanted to show you that there are pre-formed brackets. You can build it out of flat plate if you have any fabrication skills, or these brackets are fairly economical to buy from Rough Stuff Specialties and several other manufacturers. So the panhard bar or track bar will mount to the frame right here and go across the axle to the passenger side over there. It will mimic the steering bar with the exact same angle. That way, when you're going down the road and you hit a bump, the track bar and steering work at the exact same rate, and you will not get any bump steer or feedback through the steering wheel. Alright guys, looking at the passenger side knuckle, you'll see that it does not have any provision on the top side for the steering arm. So we're going to go ahead and get this tore down and get the new flat top knuckle put on the passenger side. Driver knuckle installed, steering arm installed on the flat top knuckle, everything back together just like factory. It's just like doing a ball joint job, only installing new parts. Steering will hook up here and shoot across to the steering box over there. On to the next step. Alright, Brian's going to be installing the steering box now and the steering box brace. box is on. Factory input shaft hooked up. Custom pitman arm installed. As you see, it does point towards the back of the vehicle, not out the side like the factory. Both factory lines hooked up, bolted in place. Kind of hard to see, but this is the steering box brace, bolts over past the proportioning valve and bolts all the way to the steering box bolts. Really braces that factory frame up. Like I said, this frame was in good shape to start with, so that's just preventative maintenance. Got the crossover bar built and installed. As you see, comes off the steering box, crosses over all the way to the passenger side knuckle, ties right into that upper steering arm. Very low angle, lots of length. It's going to make this truck drive 100% better. Now let's knock the track bar out. You'll need to remove the factory bump stop bracket that's riveted to the frame. Once that's removed, you have many different options on the upper bracket. A lot of companies sell a prefab bracket, such as this right here. It's already formed, notch to go around the frame. You can put that right in that location, make a couple of welds, and you're done on the top side. In this particular case, we're going to make a bolt-on bracket that lays flat on the frame and goes under the frame, and we'll make our track bar bracket attached to that. Track bar bracket welded. We went ahead and pre-drilled the holes in the frame where the bump stop was previously removed. This bracket will bolt right there and it will become the upper mount for the track bar slash panhard bar. Track bar bracket mocked up, bars at matching angles. Time to weld it up. Crossover and track bar installed. Let's go for a drive. So you can already tell how much less input I'm putting into this truck to drive it. It is extremely tight compared to what it was. Hardly having to work at all to keep it in the lane. The steering wheel is just nice and solid. Very, very minimal movement as the road changes. In the video before, I showed you how loose the wheel was. You could turn it to keep it in a lane. Now, every time you turn, the truck goes where you point it. Such a massive improvement over the standard steering. All finished up, ready to go back home. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. It was more of a how we do it versus a how-to, but if you'd like an even more detailed video with exact part numbers, maybe some pre-made parts if you don't have the ability to do the fabrication like we did in this video, let us know in the comments section. We're going to be doing a lot more videos on setups that we do on older vehicles, make them drive better, trimming videos on how to make larger tires fit with less lift, and maybe just some walk-arounds of trucks that we build every day in the shop. Like and subscribe so we can keep on doing this for you. Thanks for watching.